Good morning and welcome once again to your Renewed Faith devotions as we're looking at the great influences of our faith. We continue to look at the book of Esther, and in it we find a great intrigue. From chapter 6 we continue with the story. Throughout that night the king was unable to sleep, so he asked for the book containing the historical records to be brought. As the records were being read in the king's presence, it was found written that Mordecai had disclosed that Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who guarded the entrance, had plotted to assassinate King Ahasuerus. The king asked, what great honor was bestowed on Mordecai because of this? The king's attendants who served him responded, not a thing was done for him. Then the king said, who is that in the courtyard? Now Haman had come to the outer courtyard of the palace to suggest that the king hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had constructed for him. The king's attendants said to him, it is Haman who is standing in the courtyard. The king said, let him enter. So Haman came in, and the king said to him, what should be done for the man whom the king wishes to honor? Haman thought to himself, who is it that the king would want to honor more than me? So Haman said to the king, for the man whom the king wishes to honor, let them bring royal attire which the king himself has worn, and a horse on which the king himself has ridden, one bearing the royal insignia. Then let this clothing and this horse be given to one of the king's noble officials. Let him then clothe the man whom the king wishes to honor, and let him lead him about through the plaza of the city on the horse, calling before him, so shall it be done to the man whom the king wishes to honor. The king then said to Haman, go quickly, take the clothing and the horse, just as you have described, and do just as you have indicated to Mordecai the Jew who sits at the king's gate. Don't neglect a single thing of all that you have said. So Haman took the clothing and the horse, and he clothed Mordecai. He led him about on the horse throughout the plaza of the city, calling before him, so shall it be done to the man whom the king wishes to honor. As we read, that night the king was unable to sleep, and he asked for the archives to be read to him. And that's where he heard of Mordecai's part in foiling the plot that was against him. Once the king had been made aware of Mordecai's part in saving his life, he gave orders that Mordecai is to be publicly honored. And so he was, and Haman, much to his dismay, is obliged to enter into the celebrations. Now, before we go any further, let us pause for a moment and look at God's providence in Esther. As I've said before, the name of God never appears in the book of Esther, and it was for this reason that the early church was somewhat reluctant at first to accept this book as part of the inspired canon of Scripture. But it was soon regarded as such. In spite of the omission of any name for deity, there is no other book in all the Bible where God is more evidently at work behind the scenes than in this book. The key in understanding the book of Esther is the word providence, literally meaning to provide for in advance. Providence has been defined as follows. Providence is that continuous agency of God by which He makes all events of the physical and moral world fulfill the original design with which He created it. Providence has also been defined as the hand of God in the glove of history. Thus we can, with full justification, pen the words of Romans 8:28 across the book of Esther. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose.